Alright guys, we're working on Java. It's out. We're in the final section, data structures. So let's go ahead and just jump right into it. We're going to take a look at this code and let's see what's going on here. So we're importing a special file. We have our class Olympics, then we have our main method. In our main method, we create an array list of strings. Array list is something that you store items in or values. So say we need to catalog phone numbers, we could store an array list of phone numbers and we would name it catalog or whatever. And cool, we're adding some stuff to our array list, printing some stuff out. We're running a for loop here. What's going on here? It's saying you go for the data type. In this case, it's a string. Then this normally I would use I. It's just my convention. This is just what the value is of increased by 1 for Olympic sports, which is our array list. So iterate through the strings one at a time for our array list, and in this case, it's printing out the value. We use something here called a hashmap, which is this is a string and an integer, and you kind of can work off both of them. You can get the value of both, but usually use this. It's like maybe you'll have coordinates, and then you put in the coordinates, and it will tell you the city, or if that makes more sense. So you don't really care about the coordinates; you care about the value. So it's a value and a key typically. And then we have another for loop, and this is saying if they've hosted before 2016 or after 2016. So let's go ahead and run it, and it's going to tell us some stuff. Just print out some stuff. Cool. So let's get started with that. So the way you normally would write a for loop is you would declare a variable. In this case, it's water level. I always use I. So you set an int here, and this is going to be where you start and what you're basing your levels off of. So we'll say water level is less than, and we're at 7. This is saying while it is less than water level, while water level is less than 7, continue running this for loop. And then how do we break out of the for loop? We increment by 1 every time. So set a int at whatever works for you. Typically it's 0 or 1, and then keep running it and then increment it by 1. So now when we run it, it should run 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times if you start at 0. So there we go. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Cool. Inside the main method, create an array list object called weekly temperatures integer data type. So inside the main, what we're going to do is we're going to create an array list. And this, you'll notice that we imported this utility from, imported it. It's because it's not by default included most of the time. So we're creating an array list of integers. And we want to call it weekly temperatures. And we're going to set it equal to a new array list integer. And then always, if you're me, you always forget that this is not there. And you spend an hour trying to figure out why your array list doesn't work. So make sure when you're creating that array list like that, that you do everything you need to. Cool. So obviously nothing prints out. We're just creating our array list here. Now we want to add some array lists. So it's an integer. So what are we going to add? Integers. So to do that, all we do is we call our weekly temperatures. And what do we want to say? We want to say dot add. And in here we put our parameter. In this case, it's a number. So we'll say 78. Run our code. We'll do it again. We'll do weekly temperatures, and what we're doing right now is we are adding the integer to our array list. So this one would take up the first spot, which is the 0 index, and then this one would take up the second spot, which is the first index. Lists and a lot of things in Java start on 0 instead of 1, so just keep that in mind. And that's going to be important for your for loops, and like calling dot lanes. Sometimes you have to do +1, sometimes you have to do -1. It just depends. So let's go ahead and finish up here. Weekly temperatures dot add. We want to add 89. This would have been some great weather. More like 108, 110, 111 in California. It's been miserable. Weekly temperatures dot add. And finally, we're going to add the final one of 94. So we have four ints in our array list. With all right, now we are going to call get on them. So get. Let's see here. So we want to print out. So system dot out dot println, and what do we want to print out? The lowest temperature. All right, so we're gonna call weekly temperatures again. We're gonna call dot get, and this is gonna be how we get our index value here. So dot get, and we want it to get the 0 position. It looks like. Nope. Cannot find symbol. Oh, the lowest. Okay, so in their example, I thought the lowest as in 0. So what we're actually trying to get is the lowest number here. So we're looking for 67. And so like I said, this is index 0. And this is index 1. All the way up to index 2. And finally, index 3. So which one would we want? We want to get 67. I think that's what's going on here. No? Oh. Or you put an R instead of a T. Let's try 0. Maybe I want 0. I'm very confused. Let's see. Yeah. Let's see what's going on here. So this is kind of cool. They actually give you the code. That's what I had. Oh my god. So let's go back. And then run it. That's exactly what I had. I tried that. Anyhow. So you call the array list, got get, and then this actually goes to the index value of 1. Oh, run, and then next. Cool. Insert a new temperature at index 2. So how do we do that? We want to say weekly temperatures dot add, and what do we want to add? We want to add we want to override it. We are going to put the index value first. So index 2 0 1 2. So 89. We don't want 89 anymore. What we want is for the second index to be 100. Run it. Oh, 111. Make sure you get the number right. Cool. And use the get method to get the print out the temperature of 89. system dot out dot print ln, and we are going to say print ln2 of weekly temperatures dot get, and semicolon, run that shit. Huh. So on the next line, you see to print out the temperature 89. Oh, okay. This doesn't actually override it. I apologize for that. So when what we're actually doing here is inserting right here at the second index so this would be, we're actually inserting right here, excuse me. So we're inserting right here the weekly temperature dot add at that index point. So this is where we're inserting it. So what we're trying to call 89. I made a mistake and thought we were overwriting it. That is not what we're doing. We are actually just inserting it at the second index point. So in this case, to get 89, we want to call index 4 because it's going to go 78, 111, 67, 89. 94. What? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. What is going on with this thing? Okay, so apparently 0, 1. Oh, minus the fact that I had to minus 1 for the index. So don't forget that indexes start at 0 and 1. So that's what happened right there. Inside of a for loop, print out the elements of the weekly temperatures array list. So we're going to say for int I is equal to 0, semicolon. So I is less than, and then here I'm sure we could put in a hard number like 7, or the better way to do it is put dot size, because later on we may change our code and we need our for loops all to work accordingly. And then we're going to increase I by plus plus. So the dot size method is used for just getting the size of the array list and doing it from there. So in this case, we want to system.out.println. We want to print out. What do we want to print out? The elements. So what are the elements? The elements are weekly temperature, so it's our object, and the .get method. And at the end of this, what are we getting? We are getting I. So I is our number, starts at 0. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's what we're getting. We're getting a number inserted in there, and then we are printing it out. So it should print out all these numbers in order. 78, 67. And then the 211. So 78, 111, 78, 67. After this. Get method variable j. You can use the example above. Use the get method and the int variable j. Are you kidding me right now? Do I have to change this to j? Are they really making me do that? I don't think that's the error though. Oh my god, that was the error. So make sure you use J instead of I. For someone who doesn't have their glasses on right now, let me tell you, they look very similar. So the current block of the code in the editor is incomplete. Finish the for each loop. So we have an integer. So we're putting in numbers. So first thing we have to do is declare the parameter type. In this case, it's an integer. Next, we need to declare, this is like our I. So we're declaring there. And then finally, the object that we are iterating through, or the array list in this case. And then we print it out, and that should be it. And that should be it. So we are going to create a hash map. So this is basically a door and a key is kind of how I think about it. Or a door to a value, a key to a door, whatever. Just whatever helps you make remember how the hash map works will work for you. So in this case, hash map is our string, and then integer, and then we're gonna say, and these you can change these. So you can do int and an int, or a boolean and a class, so it's not exclusive to string integer. It's probably just the easiest way to do it. And we are calling this restaurant map. And what are we doing from here? So next we need to say new hash map of strings and integers. And of course, don't forget the brackets at the end. So and if you're a bad speller like me, and this is actually menu. Let's see if that fixes it. Cool. So we created our hash map here. We haven't done anything with it. It's going to get a key, which is going to be the integer, and it's going to tell us a value, which will be a string. So let's add some food items and prices to our menu. Use put method to add a turkey burger with the value. So put will add the value. So let's put it into our hash map. It's kind of how you should think of it. So in our case, we're actually working with restaurant menu. God damn. I'm just going to copy this word because I'm going to spell. It's one of those words where I'm like, oh man, I'm so bad. I know I'm bad at spelling. And then you add in restaurant. And there's just like words I'm like, no, I should learn to spell, but I don't. But yeah, so let's put in a turkey burger. So in this case, we're doing a menu, right? So we have a turkey burger. And what's the price? $13. So for $13, you can get a turkey burger and vice versa. So let's go ahead and run that. Get our turkey burger. We want to add a we want to put in a new item to the menu. In this case, it's non-pizza, which isn't non a Jewish food, if I remember correctly, like non-bread. And then we're going to add some, let's see here. We're going to put in here now the value 10. Run that shit. Oh, excuse me. Forgot the cranberry salad. Cranberry kale salad. I have a friend who's on the kale hype train, so apparently whoever wrote this Java app is on the same one. There we go. And so now we want to get the data. So how do we do that for hash maps? Well, it's pretty simple. In this case, we want to print it out so that we can see it. So let's start there. It's very intuitive. It's exactly like the array list, except in this case, we're actually going to put in a value here. So what do we want to get in this case? We want to print out non-pizza, so what do we want to get? We can put in 11, and it's going to scan these values, and it should print out what we want. So what correlates with our 11? Non-pizza. It's taking a little while to load on this one. Check our code for an infinite loop. System not out to print out. Restaurant menu get. Oh, it wants us to print out the price. Whoops. Yeah, so again, print it out. We're actually in this case checking with the string to get the price. So that's why we weren't getting the value. I was calling the this is actually the value, and this is your key. This is your password. This is the password, and when you open the vault, this is what you get. Alright, so complete the unfinished code statement on line 12, print out the size of the restaurant menu. So complete the unfinished, print out the size. So restaurant menu dot size will tell you how big it is. So that's what dot size does. Let's go ahead and run that. So we should get at 3, 0, 1, 2, 3 values though. So uncomment the code. So let's get rid of our multi-line comment here. Uncomment the code between 13 and 19. Next, complete the for each loop. Alright, so for each loop, again, what are we working with here? If we look back at the menu, we're working with strings. So we want to iterate through string, and then in this case, we'll call it item. And then we're going to mess with the restaurant menu dot key set. And so this will check the keys. So that it's not going to check the whole thing. We're saying check the keys and see and do some stuff with it in our for loop. So when we run it, turkey burger. So a space item. That's our item. Our item is our string. So turkey burger. And then restaurant menu dot get item. So at turkey burger, parameter turkey burger, our string. Print out that, and then do it again for all the other ones. Finally, inside the main method, I think this might be the last part, so we're almost done with this quick Java introduction, but I do like it. I hope they expand upon it, actually. Inside the main method, and before the for each loop, create an array list called sports that stores string types. So, create an array list, so we have array list, and we are storing strings in it, and we're going to call it sports. We're going to set it equal to a new array list string, not strings like I put in the other one, so we'll have to go back and fix that. So array list of strings of type string. Let's run it. Cool. It wants us to add football to sports, so we are going to say sports.add, and don't forget your quotes, football. Hopefully we're remembering all our syntax correctly. Let's go ahead and refresh the page. Let's run it one more time. It might not be .add. Oh, that worked. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing. We're going to sports.add. We're going to add boxing now. And we're going to run this. And the first for each loop in the code editor, and the missing code that should be ran for each loop type system.out.prints4. Alright, so we just want to print out what's going on in our sports array list. So we have system.out, println, and we want to print out sports. So this is just the value of the string. So this is getting the string from the array list. So now when we run it, it should print out football followed by boxing. Cool. Uncomment the incomplete, so let's remove this multi-line comment here. And what do we want to do? So we have an array, we have a hash map here of strings and integers called major cities, and then we've put in 4 cities. So let's go ahead and declare what we're working with. We're working with strings here, and we're just going to name it city, and it's going to be our major cities dot key set, and this will get the hash keys so that we can do what we need to do with it. And now when we run it, it's going to print out the city and when it was founded in. So city will be New York. When we call get city, it's going to get the value, which would be 1624. Infinite loop. Let's try this one more time. I think Codecademy is just kind of running a little slow. There we go. Cool. So that was it. We finished the Java course. If you're, I know if this is probably your first course, I can recommend some other good ones. If you're in front end design, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript is really cool, and PHP, Python. And if all else fails, if you've already kind of knocked out everything to do on Codecademy, like I'm getting down to basically Angular JS and Ruby Rails, so I don't want to do either, but I will eventually. Go ahead and head over and do freecodecamp.com and get your certificate. 800 hours of work. I think we can do it in about 250, and bam, good to go. See you guys in the next video. Comments, questions, and constructive criticism is always welcome. Thanks for watching the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. That'd be great. And leave me a comment letting me know what you liked about the video and what you didn't like about the video. See you next time.